The second video I ever made on this channel was made during the start of the pandemic. It's a simple Python website that tracks some data. It sucks. Let's change that. The site itself is pretty simple. There's a home page, and on the home page is 3 links. Let's start with the graphs page. Now, the graphs page is not that bad, but that's mainly because Chart.js does most of the work for me. There is one thing I want to add though, and that are these lines to indicate when each kind of COVID variant was first discovered. And this is actually pretty easy to do using a plugin that allows you to make annotations on charts. While we're here, let's change this really ugly reddish pink theme going on in the nav bar in the home page. It sucks. I don't know what Passme was thinking. I do love me a good dark theme, so I'll just change it to like a dark gray. Next up, that's the home page, and this is actually pretty simple because it's literally just a box made up of boxes. I'm no wizard with HTML and CSS. In fact, I suck at it. That's why the website looks like garbage. Luckily for me, there's a library called Bootstrap, which allows you to make really good looking websites really easily. So while the HTML file is a little bit messier, the CSS file is far cleaner, and I like that because I hate CSS. I hate it with a burning passion. It sucks, but I don't have to use it. Let's also do the same for the nav bar on the maps and graphs page. It's a bit more complicated, but I just want to make it look nicer as well. And this is really easy to do. I just sucked at the time and didn't think about it. I still suck, but I suck less. And now for the last thing, which is the whole reason I actually wanted to come back to this project, because it has been on my mind ever since I first made it. And that is the maps page. Now, I really struggled with this when I was first making it, because how do you showcase the differences in severity between countries? Well, my first thought was to just have circles show the number of cases that each country has, and so the radius was just the number of cases. But on close inspection, we can see that a country like the US has had more than 80 million cases, while a country like the Vatican City, where the Pope lives, only has 29. That's a huge difference. So we need a function that can somehow kind of level these out. Thanks to dabbling a tiny bit in artificial intelligence, I knew of a sigmoid function. It's just this kind of S-shaped function, and at first glance this seems like the perfect function, right? You know, I want countries with low cases to be grouped together, and I want countries with high cases to be grouped together, and then in the middle there's a sharp increase between them so you can see the differences. And while this approach probably works, I did not implement it correctly at all. There's quite a few hard-coded values which doesn't work on a database that's constantly changing and getting bigger. The other problem is going off of cases still gives a huge difference. You know the US and Vatican example from earlier? That's a 2.8 million times difference between the two. Thankfully, there's another method we can use to determine the severity, and that is per capita. And so this is just the number of cases per 100,000 people. And it's a metric that you probably see all the time. So we have this new metric, this way better metric, but we still need to get rid of the sigmoid function. But I still want it to have that sharp increase. And thankfully there's a very simple function. It's literally just a square root function. I'm stupid. So with the square root function, we can replace x with just being the per capita of each country. And inside that square root, we can also multiply that by the max per capita of any country. I actually also multiply that entire thing by 4. That's just to get some bigger circles, but that doesn't matter. I also used a sigmoid function to color the circles, so let's just change that to a square root function while we're at it. Now I'm pretty happy with this update. It looks very modern, it looks very nice. Although Heroku, which is the platform that I used to deploy the website, had some sort of hack. And so as of recording, though the website's not completely updated, but I do still have an issue, and that's just the circles in general. If we take a look at Europe, it's still a mess, and that's pretty much the reason it's always been a mess, is that the countries in Europe are far too close to each other and have far too many cases for circles to indicate any meaningful data. So maybe at some point in the future, I'll look into replacing that map with a choropleth map, which just colors in the countries and that's it. Oh, wait, I already did. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.